They lost me when they had somebody on who owned 100 apartments. One of the apartments was only making 1% margin. If Graham Stephan, if he's watching, I'd love to see a show called Where Are They Now? Welcome back, SF Live. This is part 2 of our conversation with the Economic Ninja. Part 1 you can find below. We talked about how to invest in mining stocks, what to look for, how to make massive gains in this sector, if choose the right stocks, obviously, and how he sees things developing and how poop might hit the fan eventually this year, and how you will be incentivized to change, your thinking of how to use cash. So make sure link is down below. But part 2, we're going to talk about real estate, something I personally find interesting but don't know enough about. So that's why I have here Economic Ninja here to talk about it. We're going to see a crash? Question mark. Are we seeing a crash? I want to hear from him because he's tuned into the Fin-Fluencers as well. What are they doing? Like, I remember every YouTube channel was recommending to buy real estate, or they owned 30, 50 properties and squeezed out small margins at very low interest rates.
Yeah, it's a wedge deal. That's what they call it. They're buying jets and Lambos right now is what they're doing, actually. Have you ever owned real estate?
I owned my
Your house? Okay,
yeah.
perfect. So, but never a rental?
No.
All right, cool.
Scared of it. In Germany, if you're the renter,
yeah,
or the landlord,
yeah,
I always feel like you get the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
like it doesn't feel like it's anything that's worth my time.
You're right.
Or return.
You're totally right.
Like, unless the
that's
real
coming
estate
to
market
America.
explodes.
Yeah, the Biden administration right now is actually working on something to allow renters to have more freedoms, and that is going to spell tragedy. So that's another part of this game, and understanding where you are in a cycle. And it blows me away, like the whole rhetoric, oh, we have a housing shortage. No, you don't have a housing shortage. You have more people that are following the guys and gals that already made a ton of money, and I call them the dumb money. They're the last ones that dive into the real estate market. They're the exact same crowd that lost their homes in 2006 to 2009. But that's one of those things. We got a housing shortage. Let's build. And I've even tried to explain to people that construction is a lagging indicator to the health of a real estate market, because it takes so long to start building houses, get the permits and all that stuff. So yeah, you see all these homes, but now we're seeing stories all over that these homes, builders like Lennar and other ones are literally slashing prices 10%. They cannot sell homes. And it's so exciting to me. But the sad thing is I need to be able to hold a lot of people back, literally thousands and thousands of people in this country back from buying, because it's like, you think this is the deal? You haven't seen anything yet. And what you know is certain is when the Federal Reserve starts to lower rates. And then you'd think, okay, that's the time to buy. No, it's actually not. You see, because most people, 9 out of 10 people, are speculators. And they follow the herd. So they're not even going to buy when the interest rates start dropping. Why? 2 reasons. Their credit's going to be shot, because that's already happening. Credit card delinquencies are on the rise. Auto loans are on the rise, right? Delinquencies. So they have no credit, and then they're scared. They're scared to catch a falling knife. So these are just normal cycles that are playing out. And it shocks me how little people on YouTube actually understand that. Well, it's pretty easy to explain, because they weren't real estate investors during the last cycle. And so I was, and I've owned a couple of brokerages. One was a success, one wasn't. And I owned it before I was a real estate agent, actually. And but I'm just a horrible real estate agent because I'm an investor. So I couldn't sell someone a pile of garbage. And people say all the time, well, you were wrong, because like even the agents that used to work with me sold my house in 2018 because the market was coming down. It was coming apart at the seams. July of 2019. I bought Bitcoin at $3,200. I bought silver at like $14 or $15 an ounce. I still get made fun of today from my real estate agent buddies, and they go, you missed out on like a 30% move. And I'm like, I bought Bitcoin at 3,200. They're like, well, that's a scam. And I'm like, oh, well, a scam or not, I'm doing okay, but people, they just think so small. So we're trying to pull people back, 30,000 foot view of what's going on in the real estate market. I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, there has to be opportunity. As I mentioned earlier, like I followed quite a few like influencers,
yeah,
right? People that grown during the last 2 years on YouTube tremendously. Graham Stephan is one. I loved listening to the Iced Coffee Hour because they also talked about some YouTube metrics and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Really interesting stuff.
That's gold for anybody in the space. Like Graham, I got to meet him the other day, and a nice guy, and he has really pioneered a lot of things. And one thing I really like about Graham, regardless of the whole, hodl or buy more, buy the dip, that's going to hurt a lot of people. But the one thing that Graham does amazing is he talks about saving, and, he's pretty described as cheap. Yeah, very. And I am too. Yeah. I'm trying to break out of it, but yeah, I mean, the guy does have a GT40, but so if he's doing, he'll spend some money. Yeah, it's okay. But no, that's something I really do appreciate about him. And it is nice to see the videos are now going into, we are going into a housing crash. But it is ironic that they're not selling everything.
Yeah,
So
I haven't watched a lot of videos lately.
yeah,
They lost me when they had somebody on who owned 100 apartments. One of the apartments was only making 1% margin.
oh yeah,
I have 5 houses and a condo.
And then they leveraged on, like they bought and leveraged, and it's like
and they're doing a lot of these
So I'm
guys are
really-
doing ARMs, adjustable rate mortgage.
that's what I'm curious about now. Like I'd love to see where like if Graham Stephan, if he's watching, I doubt it.
Yeah.
But if he does,
Yeah.
I'd love to see a show called "Where Are They Now?"
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
like
well,
sort of
if we get
recap,
Graham watching,
like,
just like put some clickbait on this thing and say,
Graham,
Graham
watch this."
Stephan. Yeah, Graham, don't watch this. He'll be like, what? Oh gosh, I'm gonna do it right now. Sorry.
No, but it's interesting because they're all like yapping and going on. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, side hustles, get 2 rental properties, Airbnb land arbitraging, and
Yeah, so I'm a huge side hustle fan, right? But not real estate is a side hustle. So real estate is a passion and it is a business. Like a side hustle to me is actually making cash every weekend, flipping cash and having something of substance to be able to then go put down on real estate, but buy it right? Get a solid loan. Do a 30-year fix. You don't have to go with the 15s and stuff because you want, flexibility to be able to pay that smaller payment if something goes wrong, but also have a big, nest egg off to the side. I've had financial tragedy with my renter dying inside the property, my mother dying, an insurance scam, and I had 6 months all my bills paid or set aside. It still almost took me out. And so, yeah, I'm a real big proponent of having those emergency safety nets in investing.
how do you see this playing out? This is interesting, actually. In the next 6 to 12 months, of course, interest rates, mortgage rates are at 7%, I think, I believe, 6 to 7.
Yeah, they're in like mid
Depending-
sixes. Yeah,
yeah.
and they're all talking about like, oh, hey, it's dipped. So all this refinance, and that's what's scary. Think about this: people that have 4 or 5% loans that are refinancing now at 6, and they're doing debt consolidation. That's scary stuff. But all they think about is the monthly payment. They're like, but I'm saving like $200 a month. They're like, yeah, but the problem is because you'll always just make the minimum payment. You've now just lost an additional, let's say, $50,000, maybe even $100,000 over the life of that loan that you're going to pay in interest. And so that's wealth destruction. And so that's really sad to me. So it's the sign that things are really starting to go bad.
It's interesting to see because I'm German, live
Yeah.
in Germany. So our, like, for all of us, is mostly fixed. 10 years, 15 years.
Yep.
We don't have variables. Really.
Nope.
Like, I don't really know of it. Like, nobody really does it because
Yeah.
the rates were so cheap when I bought my house.
Yep.
We didn't even look at variable. But also, it's mostly 10 years. Minimum is 10 years.
Yeah.
Rarely anybody I know or ever heard of finances below that. In the US, Canada, I know a friend of mine, he financed his house for a year and then he had to refinance after a year and then 2 years. I was
crazy.
like, that would kill me.
Yeah, and the added cost. I mean, just to roll through escrow or an attorney to get that closed, that's every year, those fees. But people just don't think about that. Now, in Germany, you've got to ask, and this happens in every society. When the banks start to hurt, they're not bringing in money. And banks make most of their money from mortgages or loans. Then they also make a lot of money through loaning out against companies' invoices, right? Most people don't understand how that works anyway. I don't want to get into that. But my point being is that when banks are hurting, then they'll start to extend out and the adjustable rate mortgages will become cheaper. They'll figure out ways to get you in these teaser rates, things like that. And that's what's happening right now in America. We're starting to see the banks going, okay, we got to figure something out. So I'm afraid that the federal government's actually going to figure out a way of stretching this thing out longer and saying, hey, let's make the current 30-year, Fannie, Freddie government-backed loan a 50-year. And then that will, because can you imagine if all of a sudden you're offered a mortgage 6.5%, 7%, but 50 years and it's government backed? That means your payment now just dropped probably $300, $400, maybe $500 a month. That's going to cause rampant speculation. And I think that's actually coming. So that's something that people are going to have to be ready to pivot. And it's one of those things that if it happens, you need to be ready to dive into the market because people, once they start getting these loans and going, oh my gosh, it's cheaper. What do humans do? They're greedy. They want to show off. So they're going to say, well, I could afford another $200,000 and then my payment will be the same. And then that builds that speculation in that bubble again. So that could be something the Fed might be holding back with. If they do that, holy cow, that's scary.
Did you see a fire sale at all coming in coming months?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Like a massive crash. Like we've seen it dipping 10, 15% in certain places, but...
Yeah, no, I do. As a matter of fact, like Goldman just came out and said that they're like, hey, we see like 4 or 5 cities where you're going to lose, a certain amount of percentage and it's going to be as bad or worse than 2008. What they're not telling you is it's going to happen all over the country this time. Because last time we were talking about Las Vegas where you were bummed you didn't buy a house in Vegas. The hottest markets always dip first and then they dip hardest, right? Problem is we have seen for the first time in the country's history that I know of, reading all these books, historical books about real estate over the last 100 years, We've never seen a mass migration out of California or New York. And this has never happened before. So we saw bubbles everywhere. Well, what happens now? People are literally losing their jobs by the thousands, just since January 1st, by the thousands. People now are literally being told, yeah, you got to come back to work. We're like, well, I moved 2 hours away. Well, I'm sorry, get your butt back. And they're like, oh, I got to sell. And then another thing that's never happened in the country's history, Airbnbs. To think that you could own your own hotel by just buying a house, and it took that house away from the market. And that is going to have to turn into long-term rentals, because as the economy dips and gets sicker, people are not going to have money to go around and just go vacationing. So we're going to see it get worse, and there's going to be just so many opportunities. I mean, matter of fact, we're seeing a lot of trust sales too. People, there's a lot of people that when I go around, the house is empty and the people passed away. And that's an awkward conversation too, So the kids are selling the house. Like literally, I've seen 3 in the last week in my town. And the kids are selling the house because they're already established families and they need to liquidate it. They're not going to move into it. They'd rather sell it and split the money. And so there's just added inventory hitting the market.
Interesting. What do you see the hottest markets being? You said Vegas. Like I keep coming back to Vegas because for some reason there's a relationship between me and Vegas. I have no idea. Been a zillion times, but
what kind of relationship? Well, it's really late nights. Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't know. I keep coming back.
I'm a big craps guy.
Because of all the Fin-Fluencers who actually moved to Vegas because of lower capital gains and lower state income tax.
That's
and
one.
Like that.
No, but you know what's crazy is the water situation. So we just had massive flooding in California. People were dying in my town. It was horrible. And it was crazy. I did a video 4 weeks before, and I said, "Get ready for the floods because we're going to shift." And people aren't ready. They're never ready. So if we're talking about real estate, we could talk about flooding, right? Well, think about this. Everybody's like talking about how all of our lakes are full. But we're out of the drought. And I'm like, that's a flood event. Those lakes are all going to be empty again by August. Well, it's the same thing in Vegas. Think about it. I mean, that lake just keeps getting lower and lower and lower. And eventually they could run out. Now, they'll never truly run out. And that's another thing people don't get. When I talk about shortages, like the diesel shortage, well, it never happened. We never ran out. And I said, no, it's a shortage. That we have less, which means the price goes up. So the price of water could skyrocket in Vegas. Now, that would actually cause me to want to buy more, but in the right time. Because again, you're playing off the fear of the sellers going, oh my gosh, if we don't sell now, we're never gonna be able to sell. And they're gonna start diving those prices down. There's a lot of people with a ton of equity in homes right now. That means on a panic sale, a fire sale, it could happen pretty quick. And so I believe that in the third quarter of this year, you're gonna start to see like big reductions.
Top 3 areas where you'd be looking?
Oh,
is there a favorite area?
California.
California.
Yeah, and not for rentals. I would never own a rental in California because they're,
yeah,
I don't know.
We talked about it in the first video.
Oh yeah, they're horrible.
Like how the laws are being.
Yeah, well, that's federal.
Tightened.
The federal laws are changing. I mean, California is bad enough as it is, but I would do spec homes and flip homes, things like that. But then I would look at places like Arizona where the landlord is really favored in the tenant laws, and then you take that money over there and then you look at what was the hottest in Arizona. It's Phoenix. Phoenix is a tech hub. Phoenix is not going to go away. The infrastructure, the freeways, everything is there. So something like that, they're going to fall hard. And that's going to be, to me, an opportunity because, again, think about getting into commercial. I mean, most people would have dreamed about getting commercial, but they can never afford it. But there's literally so many vacancies now because companies either went under during 2020 or they literally figured out, we don't have to have all our employees. And so there's just opportunities everywhere.
I'm bringing it up because you probably know Meet Kevin as well. Just recently bought a jet just to fly around and look at real estate.
Yeah, funny story about Meet Kevin. So when I opened up my first brokerage, I got a record-breaking property for listing. It was $34 or $35 million. And I called him. He had like 2,000 subscribers. Got him on the phone. And he just didn't have the time. And I'll go, hey, look, I got this property. I know I can sell it myself, but how would you like to go in? I just liked his style. And he didn't really want to deal with me. I sold that property. That was a great commission check. And but yeah, the flexing with the jet blows my mind, especially after what happened with FT. I couldn't even imagine doing it. Like someday I would like to have a jet. I would, but that's because we have pilots in the family, Yeah. So, but yeah, I just can't. I couldn't even. That was crazy.
Yeah, flying around the country looking at real estate and areas to invest in.
But he wants to talk you into buying real estate now because they make money. I mean, Dave Ramsey, perfect example. Dave Ramsey was wrong about the .com crash. He was wrong about 2008. Now, self-admittedly now, he's admitting he was wrong about 2008. But you know what's crazy? It's not going to happen again. And the guy hates gold. So it's like, well, it's like, who are you listening to?
Yeah.
And that's what's great. I could go back in history and go, oh, look, Peter Schiff was right. And then, yeah, Dave Ramsey was wrong. Or, and that's what you're going to see. These influencers are getting so enamored with the money. And trust me, it's awesome. Like, that's exciting stuff, right? You want to build wealth. But you're like, are you leading a bunch of people down a primrose path? And it's like you can get a referral link? And that's what scares me. And so it's like, and that's why, like with my real estate course, I was like, most of this is going out now because I want to hold you back. It's like a bunch of racehorses because I know that feeling. Oh, I've been waiting to buy, and you get that opportunity and you do it. It's like, you don't do it right and you lose your job, you'll be really hurting.
Fantastic. Economic ninja, real estate ninja. Real estate ninja for this episode.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I got the other channel.
Yeah, the other YouTube
I've got two
channels,
right? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Really insightful.
Yeah,
really
you.
appreciate it. Also, I like having actually conversations outside of mining.
Yes.
Because like a bit of the theme of our channel is looking at the macro to understand the micro.
Yeah.
Right? So
now I just want macaroni and cheese.
Exactly. $25 in downtown Vancouver.
Holy
Just
cow,
knock
I
yourself
figured that out.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
this is
goodness.
insane. Yeah, inflation's awesome out here.
Madness.
Yeah.
Madness. I had a $24 pork belly Benedict this morning. I was like, what this?
I've had that once in my life. You're going to have to tell me.
That's terrible.
I'm not on a diet this week.
It was good. It was good. I'm not going to tell. Awesome. All right. Ninja, thank you so much.
Absolutely,
Awesome
man.
conversation. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
making the time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And to everybody else, I'm going to switch to this camera here, actually. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel as well. I know 85 to 90% of you, depending on the video, are not subscribed. Change that. Do me that favor. Our goal is 10,000 subscribers right now. We'll break through that, I'm sure.
Yeah, don't be afraid. It's just a button. You just tap it. Hit it real hard. Don't be afraid.
What he said.
Yeah.
What he said. Thank you so much. Leave a comment, leave a like, of course, and we'll be back with lots more. Thank you so much.